Lots to talk about with Johannes Leak as ever. Thanks for joining us again, Johannes. Had a good week?
Yes, thanks, Chris. A great weekend.
Yeah, good stuff. Now, I want to start off, rather than the cartoon, I want to show this cover of the New Yorker magazine, a magazine obviously published in New York, famous for its covers. This one is going to create a bit of a stir. I got to like it. I don't want to push a lot of the protests going on here, but this to me has got a lot of depth. I mean, this is George Floyd, and it's showing, of course, in the detail here, there's historic oppression, slave trade and lynchings, and at least it captures this sense that George Floyd's death, as horrific as it was, isn't to be seen just in isolation. It's to be seen as the manifestation of a problem that's got deep and historical and tragic roots.
Yeah, that's a spot-on assessment, I'd say, Chris. I mean, it's quite literally, George Floyd has become, in that painting by Kadir Nelson, a sort of visual embodiment of a long and shameful history, I suppose, that America wrestles with to this day, in the way that blacks and whites have interacted, and so much of the pain and suffering that has been meted out to blacks since the days of slavery. And notice that there's those periwinkle flowers that sort of woven through the image. I was doing a bit of reading about it, and it's quite a poignant touch. I believe periwinkles were often used to sort of mark the graves of otherwise unnamed, and the unmarked graves of unnamed slaves. So that's sort of quite a painful little note there too.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Let's go to one of your many brilliant cartoons, this one from you today, looking at all the statue wars and hauling down statues. I just love this, where you've got it's borrowed from, of course, putting the flag on Iwo Jima, and this monument commemorates the glorious statue topplers of 2020. It's Iwo Jima in reverse. Brilliant stuff.
Thank you, Chris. Well, yes, when you look at these, especially the statues erected by sort of authoritarian, totalitarian dictators and the like, the big Stalins and the big Saddam Husseins, these are always sort of monuments to personal and moral vanity. And I just think that the tearing down of statues has a hell of a lot in common with that. These are acts of moral and personal vanity and a sort of historical ignorance. And one mob like to erect statues, the other mob like to pull them down. At the end of the day, it's driven by the same motive, I reckon. Yeah,
look, it's a great image. As I say, to me, it drew that idea that it was Iwo Jima in reverse, but it's also very reminiscent of a lot of those statues you get in the communist regimes, where they have all the workers sort of getting all the work done in the field and dragging the country forward.
Yeah, that's actually spot on. When I was looking closely at that famous Iwo Jima marine monument to American Marines, the same thing struck me. I spent a fair bit of time in Berlin, and the east of Berlin is absolutely full of his great big Leninist sculptures and so forth. And nobody's desecrated those just quietly, but they do very much have that sort of big teams of muscular figures all hoisting and pushing forth and that sort of thing. So it's the same visual language, really.
I'll tell you what, you want to go to North Korea as well. They got some pretty big golden statues there too. Let's go to your colleague from the Herald Sun, Mark Knight. I reckon he's a great cartoon here from Friday, where he's got, this bonfire of our vanities. He's got Captain Cook on there. He's got Chris Lilly's Jonah from Tonga, basically a burning of the books and culture. And nothing more Australian than sitting around a campfire, says one of the figures. The serenity, says the other.
Yeah, look, it's a little bit like mine, I suppose, in that it sort of fast forwards to this horrible end point that we hope we don't reach. But it's amazing how you can almost sort of pick up the smugness and the self-satisfaction just in the poses of the silhouettes of those characters there that have thrown everything on the bonfire and are just happy to see it all go up in flames. I mean, it's just I thought that was a beauty.
Well, I used some old work stuff as kindling to light a fire last night. I found it quite gratifying, actually. Now, mate, we're going to see you tomorrow night on Rowan Dean's doco on the demise of the Aussie larrikin. It plays. The timing couldn't be better. We're seeing this censorship all across the world right now.
Yes, better or worse, I suppose, depending on what angle you're coming at it from. But no, look, it's incredibly pertinent right now, and I think the message is a strong one, and that is that laughter is a very important tool that humans have to cope, but also to sort of light the way in times of trouble and darkness. So. Yes, I think Australian larrikinism is a very proud tradition and one we should be rather protective of. And so I'm just as keen to watch it as you are.
Spot on. Look forward to seeing it tomorrow night.